enthusiasts. I'm excited to have you joined in this course on Mac Security. Whether you're a professional Mac user or just getting started, this course is all about making your Mac stay safe and sound in the digital world. We're going to cover the basics of Mac security, from setting up secure passwords to more advanced techniques. We'll also demonstrate how a hacker could be able to get into your system, so a practical demo as well. So together we'll go over some things to stay safe online, some things you can do to keep your Mac safe. So a lot of people are hacking right now. There are millions of people. There's lots of cyber attacks going on all the time. And in this hostile world of the internet, you want to keep your Mac safe. This course is all about that. So think of it as giving your Mac a superhero cape. We're here to make it secure. So if you're ready to dive in, keep watching, and let's turn your Mac into a more secure device. Hey Mac Defenders, welcome back to the course. Today we're diving deep into the world of password security. So get ready to armor up and lock down, because we're about to tackle some serious cyber threats. So imagine this. You've been cruising the digital highway, signing up for a lot of awesome websites, digital shops, social media, many different websites. But here's the kicker. How do you know if any of those websites was actually secure? They might be hacked, but how do you know, right? So there are some tools for that. One of these tools is called Have I Been Pwned? So you can go to a website called haveibeenpwned.com. So haveibeenpwned.com. It's spelled like this, without spaces, and .com, obviously. So there's a lot of websites get hacked. For example, if we go to here, who's been hacked or who's been pwned, you can find a list of many websites that have been hacked. So if you use a password there, chances are that that password has been leaked. If they have weak protection on their side, chances are your password is out there, which is especially bad if you use the same password everywhere, as some people used to do. So websites get hacked all the time, and you see this large lists of websites that get hacked, and probably this is only a subset or a small list of those websites that have been hacked in the past. So you see this page is really long. So how do you keep your information secure, right? So let's get real. Websites getting hacked is no longer a what if, but a when. There's a lot of hackers out there. The internet is a large space with a lot of people trying to hack all the time. And they are looking for your login information. They are going after your data, whether it's your photos on social media or videos on social media, or banking information, or your credit card information, and so on. So it's not just big dogs that get targeted anymore. It's also all of the world. So it's not only these huge companies that get hacked, but in the process also you and me could be a target of hackers. So what's the move? So in here, Have I Been Pwned has a service that you can use. You can write your email address, and you can see if of the hacked websites that this website knows about, if your email appears in any of those websites that has been hacked. Now remember, this is only a subset, so there's likely much more websites that have been hacked, and as I said, it's websites getting hacked is really a when question and not a what if. So whatever data you put on the internet, at some point it will likely get hacked, because you're trusting this third party with the security. They might have other priorities or might make mistakes in there, especially if they have really large websites. So your data is not really safe with third parties in general, but there are things you can do to make it more safe, such as picking good passwords. So you might think, how does these hackers get in? Does they guess passwords one by one? So that's not really what's going on. In many cases, they have password lists. So they have massive password lists with 1 million or 100 million possible passwords. So if you're using a common password like password123, you know about those, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, QWERTY, or even more complicated ones. They know about them. They are in the list. So if you search on Google or any other site, you can type password list, and those are password lists that hackers use. For example, the first result, 10 million password lists. So you see it's a text file, and what they'll use is use automated software to try every password one by one in that list. So if you use a commonly used password, it's a risk that a hacker can get into your account. And this is all automated attacks. So they will try 10 million passwords if they know your email address. And so it's really a question of when and not what if. And besides that, they use many other more advanced technical tricks to hack websites. So this is just like a very basic attack with all these passwords. But there are many, many more advanced tricks hackers use to get into your accounts. So, okay, a password is as common as a rainy day, but it might get you in trouble, especially if you use simple passwords that everybody else uses. So, hackers use these long lists, longer than your holiday shopping list. 10 million passwords, 100 million passwords, it's no problem for them. They will try them one. So you want to ditch predictable passwords. So get rid of them. Go for those passwords that give you a headache, that nobody can remember, those complex ones. Totally random, uppercase, lowercase, many numbers, and so on. That is something you can do to make it harder, because then at least your password is not in those password lists hackers use. So that's one of the things you can do. Now, there's another thing you can do, which is more sort of the ultimate weapon, called two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. So then, besides a password, you need something else to log in, which can be, for example, your mobile phone, getting a text message on your phone, or it can be a device like a YubiKey. So if you search for that, for example, a YubiKey, a physical key that you would need to log in, you'll see you can use them with many, many websites. So this product is one of the possible authentication, or two-factor authentication. So you type your password, and then you also need a physical key to log into the website. So then even if your website is a bad password or is not common, let's say, or is a common password, even if you have the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they would still need your hardware key to log in. Now, alternatively, you can do it with a mobile device, but I recommend going with a hardware key, because a mobile device you take everywhere, and then what if your mobile device gets stolen? You can no longer log into your websites. So going with a YubiKey or Nitro key or any other hardware key can be an additional layer of protection for your account. So it's a physical key that you put in your computer in order to log into your accounts. So those are the main things you can do for authentication safety. Yet at the same time, know that your data is not secure. So even with this authentication, hackers will find ways into websites. And so there is no 100% security when you trust another company with all your data, whether it's photos, videos, or whatever. There is a chance that they are making a mistake, and there's millions of hackers out there trying to get to your data. But more security is better than less, because it will make it more difficult to get in. For example, in this case, they would need your password and the hardware key to log in, or maybe some other way to get into the data, like physically sneaking into the company or whatever it is that the hackers are doing. Maybe some advanced technical tricks, but basic security you can improve a lot, so that at least you can get back bad hackers out of your accounts. Alternatively, you could choose to be more selective about which companies or websites you trust with your data. So you could go for not trusting them. So then there is nothing to hack, because your data is with you on your computer or on your drives and not in the internet. So there you have it. It's really important, the password security, not just for the internet, but also for your personal computer, which we'll get more into later in another video. But if you really want to up your security, don't neglect passwords and two-factor authentication. It can give you a boost to your security, whether you're on Mac or any of the other computer systems. even if you're on the phone. So if you have any specific questions, you can ask me. I'll see you in the next videos. Welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the security side of Mac. So what we'll look at is specifically network sharing. So in this video, let's jump into the world of security, where every click is a step towards security and safety. I'm your guide, so follow me. First thing we want to do is to disable all sharing, to have a blank canvas. So first on our list of security recommendations, go to the settings, and we turn off all unnecessary sharing. So think of it like doors, locking doors you don't use. You don't want to keep all the doors open for anybody to easily enter your computer. So I'll walk you through disabling all the sharing options and disable which you are not using right now. So go to the settings and search for sharing. And you want to have all of these turned off. So all of these network sharing. And you might think, okay, I'm the only one on the network, but that really depends. For example, you might take your MacBook to a coffee shop, a library, an airport, or maybe travel to other countries. You can take a MacBook anywhere. So you might not be the only one on the network when you use public Wi-Fi. That's why you want to disable all these network sharing options, because if you leave them open and it's not your own network, it's like keeping your doors open to your house. You don't want to do that. It's inviting people into your computer, hackers or bad actors. And so that's one of the things you should do. Now let me give a demonstration of that. So let's say we enable all of this. So let's say we don't care about it. And we enable the remote login, remote sharing, and maybe we can enable other things as well. But let's just go with this example for now. So on the Mac, we enable all of this. And let's say we are not on our own network. We are in a public store, a library, or anything else that is where other people are on the network. Welcome back. So on our Mac, we left several doors open, shared several things. Now, in general, that is not so good idea, because when you connect to another network and you share things, it might be an open invitation to someone to get into your computer. So to get this a more clear example, when you leave your home, you don't leave your windows and doors open. So neither should you do that with your digital home, your computer. So let's look at it from another perspective. Here we are in a hacker's computer. They use another computer system called Kali Linux. And what they might do is scan your computer for open windows, open doors. So they might use a digital tool that scans for open doors. And in this case, they find several things that are open here. So they might be able to get into your computer because you left several windows open or several doors open. These doors can be password protected. However, the hacker has more tools in their toolbox. So they could use a password attack to one of those doors, similar to someone trying to pick your locks. And so it's a general really good idea to don't share anything when you're not at your home, when you're on someone else's network, can be the airport, the coffee shop, or whatever. Disable everything. So what the hacker might do next is to use another tool. Might know your username, or otherwise they might have a username list. They will try every password in a file one by one. So this is just a list of passwords. See, here's a text file of 1 million passwords, commonly used passwords. So if you have a password that is often used, that can be used by a hacker to break into your computer if you share things on the network. So you'll see here I'm using the SSH door. You'll see that's one of the doors that is open in the computer. There are others as well, so you would want to close all of them. And that next numbers is simply the computer address that will be different depending on what network you're on. So you just press enter. And now it is doing an attack to that computer. And just made a small mistake. You'll see here, this is another computer address. You'll see here it's 122. So this is the right computer. And now it's doing that attack, trying every password in that list one by one to find the passwords. So you'll see it's trying. Now, depending on how secure is your password, so did you pick a really good password or a really bad password, it can be fast or slow to get into your MacBook. So if you pick a really bad password that's commonly used, like one of those simple passwords, QWERTY or 1234 and so on, it can be that a hacker can get into your computer quite easily. So it took a moment, but the user here used a bad password. So the hacker found the password just by running this command. So there's two mistakes here. One is that the user shared all those things on the network. And the second is that he picked a bad password. Now, what is a good and a bad password? So you want a password that is not in those password lists. So hackers will often have password lists, like this file, which contains, in this case, million passwords. They can have a list of 10 million passwords or even larger. So I can simply output that list. And you'll see it has lots and lots and lots of passwords that are commonly used by people. And this program, it just tries every one of those passwords automatically at almost instant time. And so it just took a moment or so, and this program found the passwords using that list. And now the hacker could log in. So you'll see the door is here SSH, so use a program SSH, which is for remote desktop. Then use the password that the hacker found. And now they're in the Mac computer. You'll see here MacBook Pro. Now you can type some commands. You'll see that they are in the Mac computer. You might be familiar with some directories here that are typically on a Mac, like desktop, documents, downloads, and so on. Anyway, the hacker got access to the computer, so now he can copy files or do other bad things inside your computer. So as a user of a Mac, you can prevent this by not sharing anything on the network and also picking really good passwords, because your password shouldn't be in one of those password lists. If it is in the list and you're on a public network, it's just a matter of time before they get in. So you want to make sure that you pick a password that is really, really good, that is not something another person might have thought of. Sharing anything on the network, it's much less likely for someone else to get into your computer. So if you search for sharing in settings, make sure to turn everything off, because it makes it much harder to get into your computer if you don't share anything on the network. Otherwise, it's like leaving your doors open. Maybe it's still password protected, but that doesn't necessarily mean that nobody can hack into your computer. And so you want to keep all of those sharing options disabled. Mac enthusiasts, welcome back to the course. So let's turn your Mac into an impenetrable fortress. Today we're diving into the world of firewalls, your digital bodyguards against cyber threats. So let's get ready, let's get started. So you might have heard of firewalls, but do you know what they really do? Think of them as gatekeepers to your digital castle. It decides who is allowed to get in and who stays out. Essentially, it checks the network traffic, what gets in and what gets out. So your Mac, by default, if you have a Mac, you have a firewall. So let's turn that on. Go to the system settings and search for firewall. You'll see you have an option, turn firewall on or off. By default here, it is turned off, so that's bad. You don't want anybody connecting to your Mac, you want to block that. So if we turn that on, then outgoing or incoming connections can be blocked. So we turn it on, and now the outside world cannot connect to our Mac. We can connect from our Mac to the outside world, like if we go on the internet, we can still go to web pages. See, that's not blocked. But from the outside connecting to us, to our computer, that's blocked. Now if we go to options, we can configure some more things. So it's possible to block all incoming connections, not just default. Here you'll see it will differ on your computer, but you'll see there is quite a thing that is on here. Maybe is not what we want. For example, remote login that allows you or allows anyone to log into our Mac. As long as they have our username password, they can log into our Mac and remotely control our computer, look into our files, delete files, and so on. So what you can do with the firewall is to block all incoming connections. That's one option. Then anybody trying to connect to your PC, it's then blocked. Now, there's also some other things here, like some other options that you can turn on. It really depends on what are your preferences. Maybe you need remote login or screen sharing. In that case, it doesn't make sense to block all the connections. But if you really want the most secure option, then you could block all incoming connections. You'll also see an option, stealth mode. So this is the cool ninja move for your firewall. So if you activate it, your Mac becomes like a silent operator. It only responds to the calls it wants to. So it's like having an invisibility cloak for your internet connection. So that's something you can do. Otherwise, another computer might check. Let's say this is not enabled. So it's not enabled. Then another computer can scan your computer. Okay, what windows are open? So in computing, that's called ports. So imagine a hacker is looking at your house. They might see different windows open, different doors open. Those are called ports. And if you're not in stealth mode, a hacker can scan your computer and see, okay, all this stuff, these windows, they are open. Oh, so let's try to connect to remote login or maybe to file sharing because they are not hidden. So if you enable stealth mode, they can no longer scan your house, your digital house, your MacBook. And of course, you can block all incoming connections, then they are not even able to connect. So that would be is a really good to increase the network security or your computer security. Then anyone on the same network as you can no longer log into your computer. Now, this is not a 100% security. There is no 100% security, but it's like a one step up for your computer security. So there you have it, the lockdown on firewalls. So it's not just a digital wall. It's like a force that you can control. You can customize the settings, activate stealth mode or not, and turn your Mac into a fortress. So until next time, stay secure, stay savvy, and keep those cyber threats at bay. So if you found the video helpful, just keep watching, go over more and more cool stuff. Welcome back to the course. So today we're diving into the world of anti-theft measures. Because let's face it, we want to keep our Mac safe from theft. And in the case that a Mac gets stolen, we don't want our data to be exposed. So first things first. Let's talk about File Vault. This is the ultimate guardian of your data. Think of it as a digital vault for everything on your Mac. If you activate it, it turns all your disk into secret scrambled text, scrambled data, called encryption. So it's unreadable secret code. So without the code, no entry, no access to your data for the thief. So it's like having a bouncer for your files. So think about it as in the digital world, it's a bit like putting your Mac into a physical safe. Then even if the thief steals your safe, has no access to the Mac. So how do you turn that on? If you go to settings, you can type security. You'll see security settings, and you'll have an option for File Vault. So that will encrypt your data. So all your data on your drive will be scrambled, and without a password, they will be unable to access your data, even if your Mac has been stolen. So it's really about protecting the data on your drive from bad actors. Now, besides that, there's another thing you can do. So this is just like, if it's stolen, then at least they don't have your data. But you might simply have lost your Mac and not quite sure where it is. Or perhaps you can track down the thief. Depending on the authorities, you can get your Mac back. And so if you search for Find My, you have an option to sign in. And with this, you can sniff where your Mac location is. So then if you activate this, you can check with any system, any computer, iCloud.com. Or using Apple iCloud, you can always find where your Mac is, where in the world, if it is turned on. So if someone would steal your MacBook or your Mac computer, you can always track its location in real time to iCloud.com. So you can potentially get your Mac back. But of course, it's also important that your data is not accessed, all your passwords, all your websites, and so on. And for that, you can turn on the file vault. So in security, if you turn the file vault on, your data will be scrambled. Now, it's important to say that this only works if the computer is physically turned off, because if it is turned on, like now, they would already be able to access all your files, right? So it can be any file on the computer, and they can just access whatever they want. So this is really a protection for if your computer is turned off. So if you're traveling somewhere and they would steal your computer in that moment, they cannot turn it on and access your files. But they would be able to access it if it is unlocked, and they can just grab whatever they want. So it is an extra protection, but it would need that your computer is turned off. So hold on, we are not done yet. There's another things you can do. So file vault encrypts your data, find my tracks down where your Mac is. And together, they are like the combo that a thief might think twice before stealing your Mac. There's additional things you can do on your Mac to make it more hard to use. For example, you can pick a really strong password that a thief would never guess, and other things as well. Now, you have to keep in mind that it might happen at some point that your device is stolen. So you want to have a copy of your data somewhere else outside of your device so that you just can continue working or whatever it is that you're doing. Instead of your data is stolen, okay, the thief cannot access your data, but you cannot access it either. So you want to have backups of your system as well. So on Mac, you can make backups. If you search for backup, they have a program called Time Machine. And with this Time Machine, you can make backups using physical disks. So if you get a large USB drive or external drive, you can plug it into your Mac and create backups of all your data. In that way, if your computer is stolen, you don't just lose normally you would lose your computer, your MacBook, and your data. Then you would only use your MacBook, but you still have your data. So you can just get another MacBook and continue working or whatever it is, knowing that the thief cannot access your data, but you can, because you have the backups and you can restore the backup. So you can do that with the Time Machine program. You will need an external USB flash drive, quite a large one, depending on your Mac, or an external drive. Now, it's usually recommended to keep 3 backups. So 1 backup in the cloud, backup on the USB, and perhaps another backup in USB at different locations. For example, 1 in your house, 1 in your car, or 1 in the bank vault. Just at different locations, you would keep these backups just in case something happens. For example, if there's a fire and a building or something happens, then you can still access your data using the other physical location. So that would make your whole setup really secure against theft, but also against accidents. So I hope you found this video helpful. Keep watching for more about Mac security. And if you have any questions, just don't mind to ask. See you in the next video. Viruses and malicious software. So if you have any document, any program that you get from the internet, a single click could be all it takes to take over your computer for a hacker. Or for a malicious software, for example, software that deletes all your files. So you want to be really careful about what applications or documents you get onto your computer, because all it takes is a single click to make your computer hacked or unusable. So let's get right to it. What does this Mac do by default to protect you against cyber threats? So in the settings menu, there is an option called Gatekeeper. If you go to settings and search, you can search for Gatekeeper. And there you'll have an option where you can choose where you download your apps from. So that's either from the App Store and identified developers, which basically anyone, or just the App Store. So you could select it only from the App Store. We'll ask you your password, and if you set it, then the possible apps that you can install is smaller. So your threat spectrum will get smaller. It's less chance that you download bad software. Now, that's one of the things that is included in a MacBook. It's called Gatekeeper. It also comes with Xprotect that is running behind the scenes. It scans for malicious software. So while these are protections, if it's enough, it really depends on your use case. So there's another thing you can use for free on Mac. It's a website called virustotal.com. So if you go to virustotal.com, any file you download, anything you get from the internet or from email, you can check with virustotal.com. So this will check if that file is potentially malicious. So you click on choose file, and I'm going to select the file here. Click upload, and you'll see it scans this file with many antivirus software at once. So you'll see all these companies, all these antivirus software. You might have heard of some. All of them did a scan, and 66 of 67 found that this software is malicious. It's bad software. So with this virustotal.com website, you can check for free. So you should do that with any file you download from the internet, whether it's a document, a Word document, an Excel file, or anything else. So the cool thing about it is that it checks for all of these companies. So normally when you install antivirus software, you only have one specific software. For example, you might install Avast or AVG, and you only have that one. You don't have the databases of the other companies. But with virustotal.com, it checks a file with all of these companies. So with 67 virus software companies, it checks if that file is a virus or not. So it's a really cool free tool. Now I recommend that you still use antivirus software on top of it. You'll see there's lots of companies that offer antivirus software for your Mac. However, you could use this on top of it, because then there's even less chance to be compromised or to be hacked. Because, okay, maybe you have an antivirus software, but it doesn't detect the specific virus because it's not in their database. But maybe some other companies, it is in their database. So using virustotal.com is a good addition for your cybersecurity. Now, besides that, you want to make sure to update your Mac system. So if you go to settings and update, you want to do those security updates. You don't ignore them, because hackers will find ways to get into your system. It's like leaving the doors of your house open. So the user of this system hasn't been updating for a while, which he obviously should. You can run those updates, and then it will be harder for the attacker to get into your system. So that is the main thing about bad software. Be curious about what you do on the computer, because there is not a single app that makes your computer secure. It's a process to security. It's not a single app or a technology. You have to be mindful about what you do in the computer. So with any file that goes into your computer, check if it is a virus or malicious software. So I hope you found this video helpful. Stay secure and keep watching. But did you know you can take your security to the next level? You can use a mode called lockdown. It's not just a defense. Today we're going to talk about lockdown mode, the ultimate security posture for your Mac. So let's dive in and see how we can unleash this beast. First, we go to the settings. So picture this, putting your Mac in a fortress or in fortress mode. It tightens your security, restricts access, and makes it really hard to get into your computer at all. So how do you enable this? First, you go to the settings, and then you want to search for security. Click on security settings, and you'll have an option called lockdown mode. Now remember, this is an extreme mode. It is to make your computer as safe as possible. Now, for most people, it's not really necessary to do this, depending on what you do or how secure you want your computer to be. For example, if you're a politician or some kind of famous figure, it might be useful to enable the lockdown mode. It isn't just about saying no to threats, but about limiting what apps can do with the computer, like sensitive data, controlling system preferences, and preventing unauthorized access. This is like a digital shield against intruders, but might make your Mac more harder to use. So it is an option. If you really want the maximum security on your Mac, you should enable it. But for most people, it's not necessary. It's like a lot of apps won't work as normal anymore because security is often in a way of normal use. So this will make normal use much harder, but your computer more secure. So there you have it, lockdown mode. It's a secret weapon for security. So if you activate it, your computer will be harder to lose. Things you do by default might not work anymore, but it will be more secure. So it is a mode that comes with computers. If you believe that they might be targeting your computer for cyber attacks or something like that, you can enable it. But for most use cases, it's not really necessary. So if you found this video helpful, just keep watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So see you in the next videos.